ETF and some challenges that countries facing in transferring from MRV to enhanced transparency framework. So at the beginning, I just would like to say that we prepared some general information about enhanced transparency framework and some details, technical details. In the later, during our meeting, we will have opportunity to hear some recent experiences from the region, specifically experience from Montenegro in implementing requirements of the ETF, but also we have a great pleasure to have here today our colleague Per Wretling from the European Environmental Agency that will speak and introduce us a bit about reporting challenges in sense of the reporting to the UNFCCC and reporting to the European Union and their environmental acquis, especially related to the energy sector and reporting of GHG, etc., etc. So at the beginning, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Fatima Zahra Taibi. She is our global CBIT GSP coordinator. So she will provide us some introductory words. Fatima Zahra, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Slađana, and very nice to see so many of you. We know the end of the year is quite hectic for everyone, so thank you for taking the time to come to this webinar. I think that just underscores the importance of these issues, the issue of transparency for countries, especially in this critical time leading to the deadline of the 31st of December 2024, where all of you would need to present your first BTR. But as Slađana has mentioned, you are the only region actually that has this dual reporting. So you have the obligations under the convention, and the Paris Agreement, but also under with the EU reporting. So it's quite a unique network and a unique position that you are on. And I look forward to hearing actually the advances. I had the possibility to meet our colleague from Montenegro during the COP, and they were very optimistic in terms of being able to submit in nice to see you, Jovana, during the submit by the deadline, but also I think Jovana can say, but they were quite assured to see that they are actually more advanced than they think they are in terms of in terms of progress for the BTR. So I think it would be really interesting to hear that experience. So Slađana also asked me to give just a brief update on what has happened in the COP while it is still very fresh in our mind. So as all of us know, there were a lot of expectations from this COP, but also a lot of skepticism. But it has started with quite a bang with the establishment of the Loss and Damage Fund during the first day, which was a very positive signal. And now the fund is furnished with over 800 million, which is very far from being even a drop in the ocean, but it's at least a start, and it provided a positive signal and a positive start to the COP. Continuing with the loss and damage, there were also the establishment of the Santiago network to be hosted by the consortium of UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and UNOPS. So that's also established, and the idea is to have it operationalized already next year. The big elephant in the room was the fossil fuel issue. So here it was quite controversial, as we might have expected, and they were quite a big stalemate during the negotiations and until the end, with parties threatening to leave the negotiations if they don't get their way. So unfortunately, the final decision is not online with what science asks us to do in terms of the phasing out of fossil fuel. But the consensus was that they have found an elegant way out through this language that they have had, transitioning away from fossil fuel. So yeah, I guess it was a way to get out of the stalemate of the negotiations. But of course, this is not in line with science. Yeah, but I guess that was what parties could achieve during this COP. There were few advances in some other agenda items, such as the global goal on adaptation. So now the targets, both in terms of impact and planning, has been agreed on, which is quite significant. And they have also, the parties have established a work program to be concluded in Belen, a 2-year work program. With regard to the global stocktake outcome, I think some consider it as weak because it's, if you see the language in the decision, it's a lot of reiterating of the Paris Agreement, using a bit of a stronger language. What stands out to me in the global stocktake is that it's actually, despite so many dialogues and working groups and so many, I think like it was 3 years, this is the culmination of 3 years of work. There were mention only of two. There was 2 main sources of information that actually made it to the final text, which were the outcomes of the IPCC assessment report and the synthesis report of NDCs that's produced by the UNFCCC. So I think this just underscores the importance of transparency and the biennial transparency reports going forward, because now they didn't have that source of information to really actually see where we are effectively in terms of progress in achieving the Paris goal, and also to make some more informed decisions based on more kind of evidence-based decision making, if I would say. So I think in the coming years, hopefully in the next global stocktake, we'll have much. I think we'll have at least 2 cycles of BTRs that would be submitted. So there will be much more data to work with, and as it was designed to be, it would be the main source of for the global stocktake. I just wanted to underscore that these are my personal opinions, so please take it with a grain of salt. With regard to transparency, there were 3 main areas that I personally was following. It was the GEF guidance, the guidance to GEF, and also the provision of financial and technical support to developing countries, parties for reporting and capacity building, both under the Paris Agreement and under the Convention. So there were a lot of discussions, and it was not concluded until the last minute, especially the guidance to GEF, which had implication on both decisions with regard to support. So that was a bit of an issue in terms of trying to conclude the various decisions, while there is this interlinkage between the guidance to the GEF and these 2 other decisions that are negotiated separately in different groups and under different agenda items. So the support for the Paris Agreement under the convention has unfortunately not been concluded. So it was Rule 16, and it will go again to the next SBs to be discussed in June. For GEF guidance, many countries were actually asking to increase the amount for the BTR funding. Because they consider that the current amount was not enough. So this has not been taken on in the final decision, and basically the main guidance now to GEF in terms of transparency relates mainly with processes. So there was or there is guidance to GEF to explore alternative programming modalities, procedures, and processes to facilitate and expedite access to financial resources for enabling activities. Enabling activities are, of course, the funding that goes to the BTR and the national communications, and also request the global the GEF to consider ways to enhance the institutional capacity of developing country parties to assist them in meeting the reporting requirements. So basically, these were the main two decisions. So it's basically processes, and also to see how to enhance in the existing support, how to enhance the institutional capacity of developing countries. So these were the main guidance related to transparency. Now, for the provision of financial and technical support under the Paris Agreement, so here we had our platform mentioned, so the climate transparency platform, which was nice. It makes it a little bit more known to countries, and then it's basically it's many decisions with relating to having some dialogue. One also again asking the the GEF to simplify the processes. So that kind of interlinks with the previous decision. But also the secretariats, there were many requests to the secretariat to organize an in-person workshop during the next SBs in June. So basically, it's a work program for 2 years that has in-person workshops and facilitative dialogues with regard to transparency. So the first would be an in-person workshop that is preceded by an online dialogue. So that includes relevant stakeholders, including the GEF and the implementing agencies, to talk or to discuss the support to countries and the various needs for capacity building. And then then it's a facilitative dialogue that will happen afterwards, and then summary reports that would make that would be kind of the basis for the decisions to be negotiated at the end of this 2-year kind of work program. So that was the main, basically the main things with regard to transparency. So as you can see, there was not really that much of decisions with regard to outcomes, but more into a process on how to get to an outcome, hopefully in a couple of years. Yeah, so that was my take on the main items that I was personally interested in during the COP, and I mean, we can all agree or disagree on how ambitious this COP was and its outcome, but the fact is that this is what now parties have agreed on, and that's what we will be implementing, at least from the transparency part, for the next couple of years. From our side, we are planning to enhance to the or do our best basically to enhance the support for and capacity building for countries in the run to the December 2024. So we will have much more emphasis on in-country activities and a lot of sharing of experience that countries find very useful, because it helps them see where they are and how they can get out of some of the issues also that they are experiencing, learning from experiences of others. And we are also planning to have a global meeting. So we are calling it the Global Transparency Forum, hopefully in March next year. Where we will have a lot of discussions. Actually, our agenda would be in line with what parties want in terms of the simplification of the processes for from GEF and implementing agencies. So we wanted to start initiating that discussions in a more kind of an informal setting, so that both parties, implementing agencies and support providers can have more candid discussions with regard to the various processes and the various areas of support on how to prioritize and so on for next year. So please stay tuned for this Global Transparency Forum. We hope that we will be able to send invitations soon. Our focus also next year would be on the inventory chapter of the BTR, because that's one of the main or like the with the NDC tracking, they are the two compulsory elements of the BTR. So last year we did the NDC tracking, and this year we will be concentrating on the inventory chapter. So stay tuned as well for that. We will be organizing an in-person workshop in the first semester of next year, hopefully sometime in April, May. So stay tuned also for that. We are, of course, not forgetting adaptation and loss and damage. And for that, of course, we do not have the resources to do 2 in-person workshops. So the one on adaptation and loss and damage, we will be organizing a series of virtual workshops. So approximately 5 webinars or 5 virtual sessions on this issue, including a last session maybe on sharing of experiences as well. That could be quite useful in this regard, so that there is some peer learning involved here as well. So yeah, as I mentioned, we will have a full program for the network next year. So please do stay tuned on that, and we count on your collaboration, of course, as well, in terms of being responsive to the requests and also when an activity is decided, then it is implemented on time and efficiently. So we do count on your collaboration as well, and please do not hesitate to get in touch with us, especially with Slajana, who is your network coordinator, if you need any if you have any specific needs or ad hoc needs that you need to deal with urgently, please do let us know. So I look forward to collaborating with you and also with many of our partners. I see here Per, of course, with the EEA. So we hope that we have a fruitful collaboration this year. And also there are many other partners that are active in the network, especially UNDP and the FAO. So we very much look forward to working very closely with all of our partners and our countries. So thank you very much, and back to you, Slajana.
Thank you, Fatima, very much, especially for this very good and useful information from the last COP. For most of us, that's the first time that we hear some things that that were discussed during the COP. All informations are very important for all of us, and I'm sure that in next weeks or months we will also have comprehensive reports on results of the last COP. So in the next few minutes, we will continue with our presentations. But before, I would like to ask you just for a few minutes to turn on your cameras to take our joint photo from the meeting for the recording. Otherwise, it seems to me that I'm speaking with my laptop. This is, I would say, more human. Thank you very much. Just a second. And one more. Thank you very much. Also, for the beginning, just for the start, we have prepared some easy questions for you. So I'll share now my screen with the Menti survey. So here is the first slide with the instructions. Can you see it? You have here QR code and numeric code that you can use to enter to the survey. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we see it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So from where you are joining us today, the first question. Oh, we have some participants from Scandinavia. Thank you.
That was me. I was aiming for Denmark.
Okay.
Sorry, can you see again a code for linking with Menti?
Sorry, I can hear you.
A code, what is the code for linking with Menti?
Code again.
Yes.
Here it is. Did you catch it? Okay, next question is what is your first thought when you hear word ETF? So my first thought is deadline. So I don't know about you. Okay, transparency. Framework. connection, sharing, reporting, data. Lots of answers. Yes, the ETF is all of that. Obligation also. Yes, most of the provisions are obligatory or required. So I'll stop sharing presentation now and we'll continue at the end of the meeting. Thank you for now. Thank you very much. So in the following few minutes, I will present just general framework of the ETF. As you may know, within the Eurasia Transparency Network, we have countries with different status in implementing of the ETF. We have countries that still did not have received funds or did not started with their projects. Also, we have countries with approved projects, but also did not start with the implementation. And also, we have countries that already started, that are deep in the reporting process, and we are glad that we have Montenegro today to share experiences in that context with us. So I'll share now my presentation. Can you see it on the full screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So at the beginning, what to say? The ETF is, I would say, one global strategy to cope with climate change. What we are actually doing, we are planning, we are analyzing, we are adjusting our strategies, our activities, and planning again with new measures, new activities in order to achieve our global climate goal to reduce global temperatures and to reduce climate risks that most of the countries are struggling with. So what is the goal of the ETF? Is to build mutual trust and confidence, to promote effective implementation of the climate actions, and it has built-in flexibility for the parties that needs it in the context of their capacities, but also some special it recognizes special circumstances of the LDCs and SIDS, low developed countries and small island countries. So the purpose is to provide a clear understanding of the climate action, especially clarity of tracking progress towards achieving individual NDCs and the adaptation actions to inform global stake, but also purpose is to ensure transparency for support, actually to provide clarity on support provided and received by individual parties in context of climate change and actions, and to provide overview of aggregate financial support that is provided by developed countries, and also to inform global stocktake that will at the end, when summarize all this information, provide some further guidance in order to cope with the climate change. So for developing countries, what does it mean, this transfer? What are the changes? As of the national communications, all remains the same. The reporting is every 4 years, but instead of that, within the current until now, we had a MRV framework with BURs, technical analysis, and facilitative sharing of views. So BURs that were submitted every 2 years without no specific format or areas of reporting now are upgraded, I would say, and mitigation actions and the tracking of the actions in reduction of the GHG emissions are now within the BTR or biennial transparency reports, which is also needs to be submitted every 2 years within specific templates, separate inventory with outline description of progress, and also with defined electronic submission. As of technical analysis, there are some, I would say, shorter deadlines, and in comparing to technical analysis, which was performed previously within the ICA process or international consultation and analysis, now within the ETF, we have more or less same, but included the NDC analysis and technical review is included. Also, technical expert review starts minimum 3.5 months after submission. Final report needs to be produced at maximum 7.5 months after the start. And also it can be implemented in country, centralized. So that's one of the flexibilities for those developing countries. And overall, the technical expert review needs to be completed within 2 years outline, which is aligned with the process of BTR reporting. Also, the enhanced transparency framework, including facilitative multilateral consideration of the progress, which takes and follows the report of the technical expert review, and the special options. There is special option for low developed countries and LD and small island countries. So comparing to existing MRV arrangements, which included biennial update reports for developing countries and national communications, now we have enhanced transparency framework, which also considering regular reporting through national communications through within the 4 years, which remains the same. But also we have biennial transparency reports, which is actually includes much more information. It is more comprehensive, includes greenhouse gas inventory, especially progress made in implementing and achieving NDC, climate change impact and adaptation, financial technology transfer and capacity building support needed and received, and also includes some flexibilities for developing countries and also areas of improvement. The MRV is in general defined by Article 13 of the Paris Agreement, but
Snejana, you are
here. Oh, yeah.
Snejana, are you there? Maybe you can remove your camera so that the connection is better. I think she will be coming back soon.
yes, here I am. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, maybe remove your camera so that the connection is better.
I have actually good connections now because I have new connection and new Wi-Fi, so very, very fast remote internet, but I don't know what's going on, actually. So let me continue. Sorry, please, for this. Can you see full screen now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So basically, there are flexibilities for those countries that are in need because of their capacities, but also that is a window for constant improvement of the climate reporting. Actually, these decisions 18 and 5 are consisted in one document or two documents, actually, with 200 pages. So if you read these pages, you will know everything about ETF. But we will go through that in order to mention and speak about just some main issues. So what is the outline of BTR? As I said, it consists of national GHG inventory on anthropogenic emissions by sources and removals by sinks. Also, it includes report information on progress made in implementing and achieving NDC. Then climate change impacts and adaptation as appropriate. We know that it's not required, but it should. Also, the information on financial technology transfer and capacity building support needed and received. So from a side of the developed countries, it's provided. They are required to provide information on support provided, while developing countries can report on support received and needed. Also, it consists information or requires information on additional information when national communication and BTRs are submitted jointly, and consists some annexes on flexibility, improvements in reporting, and any other information that party considers relevant. For instance, red report on reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation in developing countries, CTRs for electronic submissions of NIR, etc., etc. So the ETF is actually one cycle, consisted of technical, planning and reporting, technical expert review, and facilitative multilateral consideration of progress, or FMCP. So as we mostly know, final BRs that needs to be prepared and submitted by developed countries are within the deadline of the end of December of 22. Final BURs needs to be submitted by developing countries by no later than 31st December, and national communication remains the same. First, BTRs and national inventory reports needs to be submitted at least by 21st December of the next year. So BTR includes information on nationally inventory report, information on tracking progress of implementation and achievement of NDC, information on CC impact and adaptation, information on support provided by developed countries or support received and needed by developing countries, and RED plus activities as technical annex. After submission, the BTR, the team of technical experts will review the parties' GAG inventory and information on tracking progress and implementing and achieving NDC. The group of experts will prepare a report and then provide it for facilitative multilateral consideration of progress, which is undertaken with respect of each party's efforts under Article 9 and parties' implementation and achievement of NDC. It consider BTR and the technical expert report and other informations that possibly provided by the parties. And it is conducted in 2 phases. First one is written question and answer phase, and the second working group session during the session of SBIs. So overview of the ETF. So as I already said, all parties shall, or it's required to prepare and submit their national greenhouse gas inventory, and also progress made in implementing and achieving nationally determined contribution. These are required. Also, developed country parties shall and other parties that provided support should provide information on financial technology transfer and capacity building support provided to developing countries. Also, all parties should, as appropriate, report on climate change impact and adaptation. Developing country parties should provide information on financial technology transfer and capacity building. So these are should. All parties, in regard of technical review, expert review, all parties shall undergo technical expert review of information, while developed country parties shall and other parties that provided support may undergo technical expert review of information submitted under Article 13.9. When it comes to facilitative multilateral consideration, or it is shall for all parties in respect of the Article 9 and especially implementation and achievement of the NDCs. Just to mention, shall these requirements, level of the requirements are like shall, which represent information that party must provide, so it's required. Should means that information that party has obligation to provide where is possible. When parties are encouraged, means that action or information that enhances the quality of report, but party is not obliged to implement and provide, and information that is marked as may, that is optional for the party to provide. ETF is built on existing MRV arrangements. So what are the key areas of enhancement? ETF established common modalities, procedures, and guidelines, MPGs, applicable to all parties, but also including flexibilities to developing country parties and some special conditions for low development or small island countries. Also, parties need to extent possible, identify, regularly update and report on areas of improvement. So it provides continuous possibility of continuous improvement. Provisions and requirements are mostly mandatory. Throughout the document, there is more than 150 shells, and I would say something more than 20 flexibilities. So in general, we can say that most provisions are mandatory, and reporting of the NDC technical expert review and the FMCP are also enhanced within the ETF. When it comes to reporting requirements for the GHG inventories, it is in general defined by Article 13 of the Paris Agreement, but Decision 18 within the MPGs and Decision 5 define that inventory consists of nationally inventory document and common reporting tables for the electronic reporting and submission of the information in the national inventory reports. Basically, national inventory document consists of information on methods used, descriptions, assumptions, references, and sources of information. Then information on categories and gases, methodologies, emission factors, and activity data. Describe also the key categories and percentage of contributions, report recalculation with explanation, information and justification. Also report and provide information on the results of the uncertainty analysis, methods used, assumptions and trends. Also requires information on reasons for lack of completeness and information on QA and QC plan and procedures that countries need to provide within their inventory document. BTR actually consists of 7 chapters, and most of them are shall or required, and it consists of information on national circumstances and institutional arrangements, description of the parties' NDCs and updates, information necessary to track progress made in implementing and achieving NDC, which is consisted actually of structured summary, narrative part, and CTF, so reporting tables. Then this section requires information on mitigation policies, measures, actions plans, mitigation co-benefits resulting from adaptation and economic diversification plans related to implementing NDC. Then summary information on GHG gas emissions and removals. Under Section F, projections of greenhouse gas emissions and removals, and also the other information. And as you can see, in comparing to the BUR or reporting under recent MRV reporting, this information is much more comprehensive, especially in tracking mitigation actions, activities, support provided, and some other sections. So what is actually good in in the ETF is that it has built-in flexibility. The flexibility provisions are defined especially for those developing countries that need it in light of their capacities. And provisions, flexibility provisions are provided by all, provided in relation to all ETF sections, meaning inventory, meaning reporting information to track progress and implementation in achieving NDC, technical expert review, and facilitative multilateral consideration of progress. And it's important that parties that need the flexibilities need to self-determine the flexibility that they actually need and well explain them actually in their reports. what is important that actually ETF with its MPGs provide and promote universal participation. ETF actually, as you know, will be implemented based on MPGs that apply to all parties. MPGs recognize capacity constraints and lacks for developing countries and special circumstances of the low developed countries and small island countries. Flexibilities address the scope, frequency, and level of details of reporting and scope of the review. What is also important to note that flexibilities are supporting continuous improvement, meaning that if you are not able to report certain information now, you have to put information on your plan on how in the next reporting cycles you will what you will do to be able to at the end report on such a specific some specific information. So also when applying flexibilities, developing countries need to clearly state the reporting requirements to which they are choosing to apply flexibility, clearly outline their capacity constraints, noting that some constraints may be relevant to several flexibility provisions, and also to self-determine and provide estimated time frame for improvements related to their capacity constraints. So here are some, here is a table, an overview of the flexibility provisions for the national inventory report. So I will just go briefly through this table. For instance, paragraph 25 of MPGs defines the identification of key categories of GAG inventory. So for developing countries, flexibility is to identify key categories using a threshold no lower than 85% in place of the 95% threshold defined for within the IPCC guidelines. Also, the paragraph 34 is about development of the QA/QC plan. So instead of preparing and implementing and provide information on general inventory quality check procedures in accordance with the QA/QC plan and with the IPCC plan, guidelines, the developing countries are encouraged to implement and provide such information. Also, there is option within the paragraph 48 to report fewer GAGs. It is required for parties to report 7 gases, but flexibility for developing countries is to report instead to that to report at least 3 gases. Also, paragraph 57 provides option to report shorter time series and an earlier latest reporting year, meaning that flexibility provides countries to report data covering at minimum the reference year or period for NDC and consistent annual time series from at least 2020 onward. Also, the flexibility instead of the latest reporting year is 3 years prior to submission of their national inventory report. Also, there is an overview of the flexibilities related to reporting of the NDC. For instance, pardon, in paragraph 85, related to information on expected and achieved emission reductions. Instead of reporting such reductions, the developing countries are encouraged to report such information. Paragraph 92 is about GHG emissions and removals projections. Instead of report projections, developing countries are encouraged to report such projections. Also, paragraph 95 on projections and extensions. Flexibility for the developing countries is that they may extend their projections at least to the end point of their NDC. And paragraph 102 on projections methodology or coverage means flexibility provides possibility that countries may report using less detailed methodology or coverage. I also have prepared more comprehensive table that I can share with you after the meeting, or the table is consisted on more provides more comprehensive overview of the flexibilities in all sections or parts of the ETF. So how to deal with the flexibility? In case when just partial information is reporting, the existing...
Sorry, Snjana, to interrupt you. So just to mention, we are already at 11, so if you can make it a little bit more brief, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll skip now some slides. Thank you, Fatima, for making this note. Also, we are more or less familiar with time frames and know aware that with the end of the 24, we need to submit first BTRs. Just to say a few words on reporting tools under decision 5 of CMAs. There are adopted reporting tools, online RT tables for reporting of inventory GHG emissions, CTF for reporting on NDC, and CTF for electronic reporting information of FTC, financial, technical, and capacity building support. Test version of the reporting tools is planned or is developed during the June, and it's supposed to be tested. And final version we expect by June next year. So just few words about reporting tools. These are CRTs, common reporting tables for the inventory. There is 49 tables for inventory. The tool consists of sectoral background tables, sectoral report tables, and summary tables, but not all data needs to be filled in. For instance, just sectoral background tables need to fill the data, while sectoral report tables and summary cross-sectoral trends and tables will be automatically generated. So just some information about possible timeline for submission of the BTRs. So if you submit your BTRs in accordance to the deadline, December 2004, technical expert review is supposed to be finalized and performed during the August of the 25. Presentation of BTR at FMCP by the November of 25, and in the same time you are starting your BTR process planning and reporting in 25, and submission is supposed to be at the end of the 26th. Also, here is some link for the further information and consists all technical information that you might need in the context of the ETF reporting. I'll stop now. So if there are some questions or thoughts, experience in this regard, I cannot see, my camera does not work from, I don't know what reason, sorry for that. I'm recently transferred to new teams, so I don't know what's going on actually. You also can place, do you see me, Jovana? No. Yes, you can see me, okay. So you can place your comments or questions also in the chat box. I don't see any questions so far, so maybe you will have more questions after the following presentation. I'm really glad to welcome Ms. Jovana Drobnjak from Ministry of Environment of Montenegro. Actually, she is a project manager for CBI and National Montenegrin CBIT project. So the Montenegro is, I would say, well advanced in preparing their BTR in comparing to the other countries, and that's why I cannot mute this. Sorry. So I'm very eager to hear some practical experience, hands-on experience from the implementation and preparing of BTR Montenegro. So Jovana, welcome again, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Slađa. Greetings from Montenegro for all colleagues, participants and experts. To be honest, I feel a little bit pressure with this great announcement, especially that we have here distinguished college, which is more familiar with this topic with me. Like Slađan said, I am project manager for Montenegro CBIT project, but also for developing the for communication first BTR report. The idea of today's presentation is to present Montenegro's experience in preparing BTRs regarding to some kind of institutional arrangement, NRE, progress made by implementing to NDC, especially with the chapter of the adaptation, but also I will mention something about the gender and the problems, issues that we are facing with during this process. Slađa, could you please give me the possibility to share my screen? And then we can start with presentation. I don't know. Do you see presentation or Slađan?
Not anymore, Giovanna, but it was on the screen. Now it's gone.
Now? I'm
Yes,
waiting.
if you can just make it full screen, please.
Yes.
Mm.
Are we good?
Perfect.
That's great. I will turn off my camera because of connection. So just briefly, the development of fourth national communication and first transparency report of Montenegro is the project which has two main goals. First is to assist the government of Montenegro in preparation and submission of the fourth national communication and first biennial transparency report, and in such way fulfillment the obligation that we have to the UNFCCC. But also what we recognize is a big help in building
Jovana?
Seems that today we have some internet issues. Hopefully, Giovanna is on her way back. So please just be patient with us for a couple more minutes.
I thought it was me.
But maybe while waiting, I don't know how long it would take Giovanna to come back. Maybe if we can start now with Per, and then when Giovanna comes in, then we continue with her. Per, would you be ready?
Yes, I'm ready. If I can get the presentation mode as well, then I can show my presentation.
Yes.
And I can squeeze it to make it as quick as possible.
Thank you.
Because I was very interested in hearing the presentation from Giovanni. So I want to make room for it. Okay. Can you see my slides? That should come now.
Yes. We can hear you, and we see your
Yes.
screen. So thank you
Okay.
very much again.
Great.
We are very much eager to hear what you have to say. Actually, this is a kind of introduction to our meeting that we are, our joint meeting that we are planning at the beginning of the next year, since the countries of the Eurasian network are facing with some challenges in relation to double reporting, and we aim to speak about and probably find some modalities to align these two reporting processes. So Per, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Diana, for this. And as well, thank you for inviting me to this. It's very interesting to be here and hear all these things. I'll keep this as short as possible, because this is, as you mentioned, this is a teaser for a webinar and a collaboration that we're going to have in the beginning of next year And you will have the presentation available as well. But we will get back to this. So this is just to show you a bit what we're planning to do. And as I said, my name is Per Wreklund, and I work at the European Environment Agency here together with a team. They are online here as well. And we're working on a project to support reporting from the contracting parties of the energy community. As we'll see here, there are many overlaps and complementarities with the UNFCCC reporting, and we as well then seeing what we can do to facilitate and coordinate the two processes in this. So I have a short presentation on 3 slides here, and this is the first one. And here I'm just going to introduce them part of the context. And then here we have the energy community, and we can start with that. And the energy community is an organization that has existed for almost 2 decades now. And the aim of this organization is to it has 9 contracting parties, which are the yellow ones you can see on the map. So there's a very high degree of overlap with the Eurasian network. So it's the 6 Western Balkans contracting parties, and then Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia as well. And the aim of this is to extend the EU energy market into the Western Balkans and the Black Sea region. So it takes a lot of the legislation that exists and adapts it and introduces it into the key, so the body of legislation that exists. And as I said, this has been ongoing for 20 years, and now in 2021, the turn of the different legislations came to the governance regulation. And the governance regulation of the EU specifies, among other things, it specifies what energy and climate information that the countries, the EU member states, are reporting to the EU. So with the energy community then, when they adopted the governance regulation, it came well, then this was extended to the contracting parties as well. The adaptive governance regulation, it is introduced gradually, so little by little. And then this year, here in 2023, was the first year that this introduced with the reporting obligations for the 9 contracting parties. It is a gradual implementation, so it means that they will come reporting as well in 2025, where there comes additional reporting requirements, and as well in 27 and in 29. This is a scale up in this process. And we here then at the European Environment Agency, we play the same role with the contracting parties of the energy community as we do with the EU member states, which means that we provide the infrastructure for reporting. We provide support in that work. We take the data, we quality control it, and complement it if needed, and then we send it onwards, in this case, to the Energy Community Secretariat. I think that's one correction I would like to make from before, that this is actually not reporting to the EU, it is reporting to the Energy Community Secretariat, which is a different a different international organization. But there is a lot of overlap and a lot of collaboration with the EU as well. So then the misunderstanding is completely understandable. Now, this happens at the same time then as we have the development with the ETF that we have just received very comprehensive presentations on, and that you know very well. So we have the development on the EU side, on the energy community side, with the adaptive governance regulation, and as well the ETF. And as we will see here, then in this slide, is that there's quite a high degree of asking for the same information, but in slightly different formats. Here, what we see here are these boxes that are on the slide, They are different reporting obligations under the governance regulation, and the terms here then are under the governance regulation, so they don't completely correspond or alike to what was described just in Sladjana's presentation on the UNFCCC and the ETF, but we can still see that they are quite a high degree of overlapping here. And what I have done here with these three nuances of boxes organized in a dark gray one, a light gray one, and a light gray one, is that I've done a preliminary analysis of how much overlap there exists in these different areas. And in the high level of reporting synergies, if we start on the left, on the top left, we have a reporting obligation of integrated policies and measures, which means that the contracting parties have to report on their different policies and measures and what they are doing within, for example, greenhouse gas, but as well energy efficiency, energy security, energy markets, and energy research, different dimensions of the energy union. When reporting on this, there is a large overlap to the mitigation actions that as well have to be reported under the BTR. So there we see an overlap. We also see then with the inventories, the approximated inventories and the projections, there's a large degree of overlap when it comes to this. The description of national systems is very similar to institutional arrangements and the support provided to developing countries. So the yellow box there has some overlap with support mobilized and provided mobilized as well. Then so in this we see a high degree of overlap. And then when we're looking into potential reporting synergies, this is where we'll have to look into it more, but we do see that there are quite high, but there are synergies as well. And this is then within adaptation planning and strategies, where the governance regulation has a very comprehensive reporting obligation where the contracting parties and the member states have to report a lot on what it is that they're planning to do according to this. And then there's what progress to targets, and the progress to targets here are targets that are set in the context of the NCPs and the EU, but depending on how aligned this is with both the NVC, and so we can see that there is potential that there are a good amount of overlap in this as well. And then on the bottom here, I'll leave them for now, but then we see a bit of a lower probability of reporting synergies. Just for disclosure, these boxes that I have here and that I'm presenting, they are the reporting obligations that come through the to the EEA. So under the governance regulation, there are actually quite a lot of additional ones, but they're not reported to us. This is just to say that I focused on the scope of this. Now, with this is my last slide. What are we seeing and what is it what we want to do with this? Because what I've described now is that we have two processes and we have this double or dual reporting obligation for many of the contracting, well, for the contracting parties in many of the countries in the Eurasian network there. What is it we can do to facilitate this? And what we are starting to do and working on here is to map the overlays. So to take the preliminary analysis that I have made here and look at it in more detail to see how are the reporting obligations overlapping and well, substantiating that and saying, like, here we can see that the information is very similar. What we're going to use for that then is that we're going to look into the software that exists. To us, one is reporting through a software called ReportNet. And with this, we're going to see what potentials we can do with import and export functionalities of this, which means that once, well, export functionalities means that once one had put into the data here in the different reporting templates, we're going to see if it's possible to then make an export functionality that this data then comes out in the format that is compatible and it is requested under the UNFCCC. So this would facilitate the burden and the reporting burden, the reporting obligation of this considerably, because it would mean that the data that you have that you put in here then can be used as well in the next reporting round for UNFCCC. Obviously, if there are updates and needed to be revised and updated, then that needs to be done. But even so, we would lower the reporting the effort required in this. And when it comes to import as well, we're going to see if it is possible to and basically take the information from the BTR and the reporting templates there, and in the same way, seeing if this can then be imported and in that way pushed into the reporting template of ReportNet to see whether that is to facilitate that. So the two reporting exercises here would be possible to would be more aligned. The last point here as well, there is a revision that is ongoing, and this is more on EU level, so it's above our pay grade here. But in this revision, they are both looking at timelines and as well the different obligations to see what can be done to reduce the different how complicated and burdensome this is, because it is acknowledged that this is an issue. So with that, we will elaborate further in a webinar in February. I hope that this gave you this was appetizing and understandable. I tried to speak quick and in order to keep it short. But thank you very much for this. If there are any questions, I'm happy to stay on. And I don't have a sharp deadline after this, so I can stay on for a long as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Per. It was very interesting, even its introduction, as you said, for our main meeting in February. I would like to ask participants, are there some questions at this point? So, Pavlina.
Thank you. I will not turn on my camera because my internet is weak, so I would like to thank Pet for the presentation. I'm coming from Macedonia, and this year we did have some initial activities regarding the ReportNet platform. So there are a lot of questions, but I'm not sure whether to ask some of them now or to wait for the February
I think
event. The main issue is that within the CBIT projects, all of our countries have developed, we call them MRV platforms, monitoring, reporting, and verification platforms, which are mainly used to report the NDC actions that we have developed. And ReportNet is very similar tool. When I don't know who held the training in Macedonia, but it was said that the ReportNet should capture NICP policies and actions and their level of implementation, national energy and climate plans. Now you say that BTR can be also reported there. So I'm a bit confused because our countries are small and we do not have so many capacities to maintain a couple of platforms. So the most important question is ReportNet obligatory? Is this the platform we should use for all of our climate-related documents? How do we proceed? Thank you.
Absolutely, and I acknowledge and I see the challenge in this, and this is as well what we are trying to do with the work to see how we can facilitate for the contracting parties in this. In North Macedonia in particular, well, actually, in all the contracting parties, but in North Macedonia, we were there and in person as well, and have worked with this. So we are aware of the challenges in this. To go to the specific question, ReportNet is obligatory, yes, for the reporting under the governance regulation. That is the way that it is reported through that. And this is not something that will change for the foreseeable future on this. What we are trying to do here is that the different reporting softwares that exist both under the governance regulation and under the UNFCCC, we're trying to make the transition between them as painless and as smooth as possible. And that's where our resources go in at the moment. I don't think that we will see a complete alignment between that the same report, software will be used for the governance regulation, the UNFCCC, because these processes are by different on different scales, where the UNFCCC is the entire world, globally in the world, and the governance regulation is then more on a European side, and there are different needs and different processes and different decision-making processes that are determining what will be needed in this. And I don't think that we will see a complete alignment. But to repeat my point, we are working to see that the work between them will be as smooth as possible on this. If you have more questions, we are very open to have a call at a later point here before Christmas or after as well, where we can explain and explore this in more detail. So please really do not hesitate to reach out. We will happily work and explain this in more detail. I hope that makes sense.
Per, thank you very much. Are there any new questions, or I don't see anything new in the chat box. So let's continue with Jovana's presentation. Now, Jovana, welcome back.
I am back. Okay, Superman.
This is me on the screen.
See?
Okay. Can you just make it full screen? Oh, perfect. Thank you.
So after this basic information, we are following with the institutional actual arrangement and institutional memory that we do have in the country, because like I mentioned, we really rely on the previous processes that we have during the preparation on the first 3 national communication and the 3 BNL report, which contributed to the institutional strengthening of the ministry, but also as the competent institutions for application of the conventions. During this process, we include also the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Capital Investment, Energy, Environmental Protection Agency, State Office, etc. That not just that we part of the process, but also they use the technical reports as well as experience in their relevant policy and planning process. As a result, Montenegro now includes climate change components into the national socioeconomic policies in the planning process. Also, this makes a good basis for the formulation and adaptation of the first law of the climate change, where we do have now very clearly defined what institution have mandated, what institution in charge for what sector in Montenegro. So basically, we here have Environmental Protection Agency, who is in charge fully for mitigation. then a Montenegrin Statistical Office, who is for providing the public data, and then Institute for Hydrometeorology and Seismology, who are in charge for adaptation, questions of adaptation for the country. This formalized way of institutional arrangement give us a good basis and constant in the reporting and preparing of reports, and also making a good answer to the new requirements that the convention have. Also, like one of the formal mechanisms that we use to make this basis for reporting is to prepare and formalize contracts with the institution, between the ministry and mentioned institutions. So everything that we are today will present is the part of their contract obligation as well. So for the first step was obviously preparation of the data, and Montenegro Statistical Office through a few phases prepared the data that we need for the inventory, but also we succeed that additionally, because the LULUCF is the one of the most challenging sector that we do have for the reporting in the country. We make we succeed to the questions that will make better information and data for this sector be the part of the census that we do have for the next year. So maybe they don't want to be the part of this reporting process, but they will be prepared for the next communication and report that we will have. But also we work a lot in raising awareness, raising awareness of the new trainings and capacity building for these sectors, because it's very challenging, first of all, to have staff, and then to staff to stay in the state institutions. So we invest a lot in the supporting and training of the new staff who are fully working for the data for the climate change for the different sectors. Environmental Protection Agency, as I told, they are in charge for the inventory. So we succeed to prepare inventory for 2020 and 2021 and submit it to the Commission, but also to finalize national inventory report is submitted to Commission in September of 2023, and now we are working to the report on recommendation for improving the collections and calculating data of the GHG. Also, they will finalize the inventory for 2022 in the second quarter of 2024, and it will be part of these reports. How it actually looks like? Well, the institutional arrangement which is given is this framework. Is given how it's mentioned in the law. So the Environmental Protection Agency is the single national entity in the country who is responsible for the preparation of emission inventories, and they have full responsibility and submission to the inventory to the UNFCCC, but also to UNFCCC Convention of the Long-Term Transboundary Air Pollution. Institutional arrangement that we do have in front of us shows that environmental agency is like the focal point, but also there is like experts from the different departments who are contributing, like sectors for the nature protection, monitoring and analysis and reporting, are compiling, reporting the inventory. Data needs for the preparation of the inventory are provided either for the industrial operators or from the official data, which is statistical office, but also from the sectoral ministries. To exchange the cooperation and to make better flow information, EPA additionally signed a memorandum of understanding on the mutual cooperation with the statistical office. So every new requirement that we do have convention can be reported in the good way and in the short time period. If you speak about the emissions that be estimated by the sectors, According to the 2006 IPCC guidelines, all sectors of the air pollution inventory are included in this NRE, and so energy, industrial process and product use, agriculture, LULUCF, waste, and others. And the IPC sector AFOLU is divided in two sectors, but with close linkages. Also, all 7 gases of the GHG inventory are reported, but also the air pollutants inventory are reported according to the guidelines that are here mentioned. And I want to say that there was no use any kind of flexibility for the gases which are mentioned. Also, the key categories are very well described in this in the report, and here I choose like 2 parallel sectors. So the key categories with who are including LULUCF, and the categories who are excluding LULUCF, and where we can also follow the trend assessment, including and excluding LULUCF. Basically, you can see the trend is pretty much same for the following 11 years. But like I mentioned before, we have space to improve the data for the LULUCF and get maybe some better data, better conclusions regarding to the key categories. As we speak about the GHG emission and the removals, well, in 2021, Montenegro total greenhouse emission without LULUCF amounted to 3,427 kilowatt equivalent, and compared to the 1990s, emission decreased by almost 25%. Compared to 2020, GHG emission in total decreased by more than 70%. And some of the reasons why this happened is that more related actually to some kind of the social or political situation that Montenegro is facing with in these previous 30 years, which are related to the breaking up of our country, then overall economic and downturn in the country, world economic crisis, breakdown in the construction of the power plants, temporary shutdown of the aluminium plant, a shutdown of an electronic line. I speak that through the time. Agricultural activities, growing populations. At the end, that we do faced COVID pandemic and lockdown. We can say that a lot of these emissions removals are actually following what was the activities in the country, not just related to the some kind of specific measures, but also the natural development of the country and the situation in the country. Regarding to the emission factor, we developed calculation for country-specific emission factor for all 5 sectors, and I here give the link so you can access the information. Also regarding to the track progress to NDC implementation, we have like now 2 different processes that is happening. We do not have our national capacities regarding to this part of report. So we do contract external expertises who will start working in the beginning of 2024 regarding the analysis of policies and measures, but also the production of GHG. The decision to have such kind of activity, basically of the end of the preparation of the project, I will explain at the end of the presentation. Also, the system for NDC tracking, we prepared the TOR developed. It was very much helpful that we be part of the training that this platform organized in July in the Kazakhstan. And FAO tracking tool is something that will be very much valuable in this process. Also, Montenegro started with the CLI Promise 2, and colleagues who are who are implementing this project, we are trying actually to make a synergy between this part of the reporting and the activities that they have to implement, having in mind the resources and time that we are facing with right now during the crisis. Before the starting of the project in the inception phase, we also have great. That was great luck that with the help of the Environmental Agency and Austria is developed the upgraded tool for the area mission, which is very wide use, but also the colleagues and the technical experts are using all the common tables for the reporting. Regarding to adaptation chapter is something that we are very focused in. Montenegro is now in process of finalization, actually, our national adaptation plan. So the idea of the reporting is that we are trying not to include the areas that are covered by NDC, but what was also the biggest chance for us is that we now have a lot of the new informations that were not published before and could be could be part of the reporting. So like I mentioned, for adaptation chapter is in charge Institute of the Hydrometeorology, Seismology. This is the part which is prepared from the colleague of Mirjana Ivanov. And can you see, for right now, we prepared data and descriptions of the climatology, climate change, hydrology, and water quality for Montenegro. We also succeed to purchase the software which is related to the climatology, especially related to the airport as a critical infrastructure, and we will have some kind of the new information which would be related to the general description of the climate in Montenegro. As is the rule that every report has some trying actually to go one step forward throughout our working groups from the National Council for Sustainable Development. We have view public discussion and consultation about the sector that we will cover for the adaptation, for the thematic studies that we will develop for the fourth national communication, and we will focus on the forests in our protected area, but also we want to include the energy sector because there are no such data regarding to adaptations, and also if there will be enough time and resources, we will choose some additional sector we want to focus and maybe find some new conclusion which will be highly evaluated for this report. Colleagues also prepare some kind of the graphs and tables that are imported from the software, where we can now the follow-ups the wind speed for the certain area on the localized actually from the specific area in Montenegro. So we do have now intense precipitation and strong winds, and this kind of the software, which is incorporated also in the reporting of the institute, will help us to have appropriate reaction in quick time in the field. What are our following activities? First of all, it's gender statistics. We really tried to make a new step in this area, even if Montenegro is very good in the preparation of the gender statistics. We incorporated gender perspective into the climate change policy, then mainstreaming gender in the climate change transparency framework, including the gender representative in the working groups for climate change, the National Council for Sustainable Development, and strengthening the collects of sex and gender disaggregated data from MRE. Also, like the part of NDC background report, Montenegro do the gender mainstreaming and this analysis contains all proposed mitigation measures from the gender perspective, as well as recommendations for the future data collection and decision making. We plan to continue this work to the gender mainstreaming during development of these reports in the way that we will collect and analyze sex and gender disaggregated data, prepare new methodologies, but also do the training for the official statistic office, and in that way prepare the data who will be part of the official official reporting. Also working on the awareness raising, it's now preparation of a guideline while outlining impact of the climate change on the health both of the men and women. And we are now trying to formulate the climate scenarios, socioeconomic scenarios, assessment, vulnerability assessment for the climate change, and gender respect for the additional sectors that are not covered in national plan of adaptation. For the next year is planned to do on the first chapter of the report. So this is national communications, policies, institutional arrangement, financial and technical support that we get, and also having in mind that these projects are preparing like 3 years ago, and that the circumstances are changing a lot. We are giving our great efforts to find the right way to collaborate with the parallel climate actions and projects that we now have in country, who are listed over here, not just in the sense of the resources, but making some additional values, maybe new data, maybe some kind of the new training that we commonly can arrange. At the end, these recommendations that I give, they're actually focusing on the Montenegro and myself and the way of thinking about the project. So my first one is to, even if you see that we finance a lot of activities, the data are quite good, that our institutional arrangements are functioning. We faced from the beginning of the project with very extensive instability in country, which is related to the even to the political, economical, but social questions as well. So Montenegro changed 3 governments until project starts. So basically, we need to make decision very day by day. So that's why we leave the NDC and tracking NDC and also policy and measure reporting. I mean, mostly at the end of this process, because this instability also leads to the changing of the strategical decisions very often. So basically, report won't be prepared qualitatively in the sense that we do have that short time decision that we are facing with. So basically what we do, like a project team, is making just a borderline when we are reporting and for what, making very good explanation and trying to prepare in-depth methodologies why some kind of the measure is reporting on such a way, for example, or when was the cut breaking for the data. Fully leveraged institutional memory. So as I told, we very rely on the previous process of preparation of the communication and biennial report. For example, in cooperation to the CBIT project, people, colleagues and technical experts and also the management level are actually, they are now used to that they need to report not just to the convention, but also to the European Union. So they know that this is the part of their everyday activity. So just rely on that because they're on technical level, there are a lot of expertise that can be very good use for the reporting. In this time of the instability in Montenegro, we do have one formal mechanism who is like the biggest political platform regarding to the sustainable development. And this is our National Council for Sustainable Development, which include all parliament, academia, private sector, NGO sector, independent experts, and it consists from the 7 working groups. One of them is for the climate change mitigation and adaptation. So we very much rely on the formal mechanism regarding to the training, discussion, recommendation, open tables where we can discuss or present the data or the challenges that we're facing in from the both sides, from the side of the reporting, but also to have direct and constant communication with the institutions on the ground level. And what was especially helpful for us was the experience of the other countries. It could not be applied directly to the Montenegro, but any kind of the good expertise, good TORs, good guidelines, or something like webinars that we do have, just like this one, was very helpful because when when preparing the technical details, we're going deep with methodology. Somehow you can lose the bigger picture of the reporting. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that I was clear, or maybe if just I get the main points from the Montenegro reporting, and I am here to happy to answer to your question.
Thank you, Jovana, very much. As Pavlina commented in the chat box, very impressive results. It was very nice to hear all about it, institutional arrangements, guesses, categories, yes, bravo. Especially information that you have already submitted your inventory report. Congratulations on that. There is a link in presentation, but also the report is published on the UNFCCC official page, so you can approach it. Thank you very much. I'm very glad that you used experiences and information from our workshop from Kazakhstan that we have this year. So very welcome to use it and to recommend also your experiences to the other countries. So we are much over our planned time. So I see just one question here in the chat box. So maybe to the question is posed by Anelia. Montenegro. Just a second. Montenegro plan to submit an adaptation and communication, or are you going to include it as a chapter within your national communication only?
Yeah, for now, we're just planning to be the chapter of the communication, but we will prepare parallel technical reports for the sector that we are choose for additional information. Because like I told you, national adaptation plan is very, very comprehensive. We are like very looking forward to finalization of it. So for the national communication regarding the time that we do have on our disposal, we will make it just like the chapter, but with the parallel studies for the, I hope, 2 or 3 sectors that we can deal with.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I would like to stress that reporting on the adaptation, yes, it is not obligatory, it's understood, but it would be great if countries can report on their impact and adaptation, to share that information. It's important for donors to see what has been already done and what are future needs in that regard. So I see here, okay, this is just great, and thank you.
Thank you, Olaf.
Yes, dear participants, do you have more questions? I don't see any more, any additional in the chat box. If not, I just will remind you that we have published or started our forum at our climate transparency platform with this topic, and please feel free to share your thoughts, questions, to share experiences. Now we know what Montenegro did. They have great results and ways on how they reached some information, how they reported certain information, etc., etc. Lots of details that you can find out or learn from that. From them. So feel free to ask questions over our Eurasia network forum that is placed on climate transparency platform. Also, I would like just to remind you that during our bilateral meetings, we talked about your support requests. Please, I know that some countries already have ideas or have defined needs in context of the ETF. So please share it within your support requests. I'm here to support you in preparation, finalization, whatever you need, clarification in that regard, and I'm eager to receive your requests. So at the end, I just will put some few last questions on the screen from our mentee. Just a second to share it. Okay, here it is. Can you see presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, thank you. The next question, when you consider what do you consider as the biggest challenge in ETF implementation, especially when you heard today experiences that Montenegro shared, you maybe have some better idea of your situation and challenges that you are facing in preparing of your reports. From point of view of regional coordinator, I would say that some of challenges are within the institutional setup or right institutional setup that can support this kind of, that can support this kind of the reporting. So someone put lack of institutional arrangements, great, yes. Capacities of national stakeholders and gaps in available statistics, so capacities and data availability, securing the human resources and capacities in all parties, CRF software use and JEF requirements of national implementation of GCF funding execution. So yes, we know that some countries did not receive funding or approve funding for implementation of the projects. So hopefully it will happen soon and they will start with the real implementation or preparing their reports. And the one last question about your satisfaction of this event. Please vote. Since now 6 votes. Any more? You can also answer even after the Teams meeting. You can approach to the Teams link. Okay, more answers. So thank you very much for joining us today. I would like to especially thank to our presenters, Jovana from Montenegro. Thank you very much. Per from the European Environmental Agency. Per, we will see you and with the country representatives again in February next year. And also thank you, Fatima Zahra, for joining us today. Thank you. Thanks to all participants. And also I'm inviting you to ask questions freely, to ask for support, even if we don't have certain answers to your questions. Please send it to us. You can share it through the platform or directly by the email. If we cannot answer, we have a lot of agencies that we work with and cooperate with great experts. And we will do all to find a proper answer for your concerns. So thank you very much again. Fatima, would you like to say something at the end?
No, just to thank all of you, Slajana, Per, Jovana, for great presentations. That's much appreciated. And of course, all the participants for bearing with us, even if we were over time. So thank you very much, and all the best for the holidays. And I hope to see you very energized in the new years. So thank you very much all. Bye.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you to all participants and presenters, and all the best in the new year and happy New Year event. Goodbye and see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.